Good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome from SimpleFi, and thank you for joining. Today, we're focusing on elevating CAPEX management, moving beyond spreadsheets to a unified and governed process. We'll show you how to centralize capital requests, standardize approvals, and automate the lifecycle from initiation through integration with financial reporting, so you get a clear visibility into commitments, spend, and your ROI. You'll see how our modular extendable design in SAP Analytics Cloud adapts to enterprise standards while allowing department-specific nuance without sacrificing control or speed. We'll also address portfolio trade-offs, scenario comparisons, and audit-ready tracking to de-risk decisions and accelerate time to value. This is a sneak preview of planned capabilities in our CAPEX planning application. So features designed to further streamline intake, forecasting, and performance monitoring right inside of SAC. So let's get started. Johannes, please move the slides. Brief agenda, very brief introduction on my end to SimpleFi solution and the reasoning why we are here and why you are here. And then we go directly into mastering CAPEX management. Johannes will lead into the demo in a few minutes and show product. That's the important piece that probably everybody is looking forward to. Next slide, please, Johannes. So who is SimpleFi? We're a firm of partners that is focused on business process design and content to help you automate and make more effective your enterprise performance management process in your organization. This includes data warehousing solutions because data is basically everywhere in your organization, but in silos, and we help you make use of all of your data across the board, regardless if the data resides in SAP solutions or in your data lakes or in a database somewhere, wherever it might take us, we will make available that data for your enterprise performance planning process and for your enterprise AI initiatives. We're SAP's go-to partner in terms of Business Data Cloud, which is the new consolidated portfolio, SAP solution portfolio around analytics, data, and planning. And our expertise is going into all these directions, and our experience is many years in doing so. 100% of our customers are referable. So if you ever see a slide with many logos on it, we can connect you with any of those customers, and they will have something good to say about the collaboration with us. Offices are across North America, and all our customers are basically coming from all the industries there are in all regions of the world. We do not have any in vertical focus area that we're covering, because these processes usually are pretty straightforward across the industries. You see SimpleFi and PlaniFi on here. PlaniFi is our content area. PlaniFi is our sister company that has developed the applications around FP&A, around financial consolidations, around other planning areas like we're seeing today around capital projects, right? And these applications are natively within SAC, within SAP Analytics Cloud, and mostly utilize standard configuration and not too much of programming, so that our customers are autonomous from us once we have delivered the solution to them. The same capabilities are also available for smaller companies that do not have a big IT footprint on our own cloud environment. So we would be the ones also managing the whole IT in that regards through PlaniFi. The SimpleFi arm is really the services and technology perspective of your business. We would be your sole partner to talk about your business process and also how to translate your requirements into SAP, into the technology. And streamline your process, and in most instances start off with our applications and then really just configure them to make them your own. So great combination of service and technology, but also application content and the platform, as you might see. Johannes, next slide, please. What we are talking about is something similar to what you're seeing here. The beauty of this is it's really an integrated business plan, as you can see, coming from the right-hand side, detailing it out more towards the left-hand side, right? So if you go into expense and SG&A planning, if you will, this is basically your P&L, if you will, right? And then you can either put your workforce in there as a line item on the SG&A side, or you can detail out your workforce plan or your capital plan to the left-hand side, as you see here, right? All supported by a very well thought through business process and workflow within the software to then hand over your capital plans, and you will see this later on through Johannes's demo, over into your overall expense and SG&A model, if you will, and directly into your financial statements on the right-hand side. But this is not only an integrated business plan, we're also adding statutory consolidation to the mix to make it a real modern enterprise performance management solution. SimpleFi offers two versions of the consolidation piece depending on the technology stack customers are on. For S/4HANA customers with certain requirements, we offer the consolidation being calculated in the group reporting directly within the ERP system. And for everybody else, for most customers and those that are not on SAP's ERP system or have multiple ERP systems, we're offering this directly within SAP Analytics Cloud as part of this EPM offering, as you see. Next slide, please, Johannes. The beauty of everything you have seen here is that really this is aligned with SAP's strategy. Imagine there's 3,000 AI developers. There's another 3,000 folks that are focused solely on the business data cloud, where SAP Analytics Cloud is part of. All these developers are working indirectly for us, right? Because our applications are natively built within SAP Analytics Cloud, which means that any innovation that is coming from SAP's angle in terms of AI, in terms of BI, in terms of reporting, in terms of capabilities, in terms of data integration, in terms of new announcements around Databricks integration, Google BigQuery integration, Snowflake integration. Everything that is coming from SAP is feeding directly into what we're doing here. So you have a future-proof solution, you own the solution in the future, and you will benefit from everything that is coming from SAP in terms of innovation and new developments. So that's what we're super proud of, that we are directly part of SAP's strategy and SAP's innovation powerhouse. Next slide, Johannes, please. I think that was it on my end. Let me now introduce you to Johannes, a colleague of mine who will walk you through the remainder of the webinar. Thank you, everybody, and Johannes, please take over.
Thank you so much, Henner. I just gonna go on the screen so that everybody can see me for a second. Real quick, my name is Johannes Knaup. I'm at SimpleFi Solution Director for Enterprise Performance Solutions. For more than 15 years, I've been working with and in finance organizations around the globe to modernize their FP&A and performance management processes and solutions. I help CFOs and their teams to move from static spreadsheets into an integrated and insight-driven platform. It was always like having one vision in mind. I want to create something which improves the decision process of the enterprises. From my background, I started with business administration, so I'm like a finance guy, but early on I discovered that and realized that the biggest value I can bring into my customers is by combining the finance and the technology world to, in the end of the day, to connect the strategic planning, operational execution, the financial steering, decision making, basically through smart and insightful design of the processes and application I built. At SimpleFi, I focus on helping clients basically to do the decision-making processes, right? So to improve their forecast accuracy, to build scenario-based planning frameworks, to build consolidation solutions, and to integrate this all into a decision process. On today's agenda, I'm gonna walk you through a couple of slides, right? And let me just go off camera for a sec. Through a couple of slides, and then we're gonna jump right into the solution. And Hannah, please do a little bit time boxing if I go off track, especially during the demo. All right. Mastering CAPEX management, right? And I like to start usually with a quote, right? And I follow Warren Buffett quite a bit. It's been in the market for a while, and one of the quotes he brought up was capital allocation is the most fundamental responsibility of management, right? What does it mean? It means basically that deciding where each dollar will create the most long-term value for shareholders and stakeholders, that's the core function of management of a company, right? So it highlights that management success is ultimately measured by how efficiently it transforms retained earnings or new capital into future earnings, right? So the allocation of the capital, it basically sits on the top of the value chain. I don't want to overcomplicate this too much, right? So like not every CAPEX decision is such an impactful one. But however, there are impactful decisions, and you have to see this like as a whole. And doing so, I discovered during my career that a lot of companies are struggling in this environment. So that's why me and my team sit down and spend quite some time on the one hand side to investigate what are the challenges today, but on the other, like how do we want to solve this? Right. And the major challenges, like just many of you, you'll kind of probably find yourself back in the challenges. It's fragmented data, right? You've got spreadsheets, you've got probably an Access database somewhere, you've got PDFs, you've got probably a SharePoint, emails going back and forth, right? The process is really manual. The approvals are probably disconnected from how the CAPEX is actually submitted. The evaluation criteria is inconsistent. So like you don't really know, or many customers don't know how to prioritize. There's limited integration, and all these kind of like leads to a platform or to a process where you actually don't know where you are, right? You don't know when you are deciding on a budget, how much budget do I have left? So what is the top-down budget given to my area, or like how is this has to be distributed across the projects and or across the investment? And that's basically what our solution is focusing on, right? We centralizing all into one system, right, which enables you, as Hannah also said in the beginning, to scale it up or scale it down, like depending on your requirements, what kind of information you need to make your decisions around CAPEX. Integrate the CAPEX into your operational and financial forecast, or operational and financial planning. So like what's going to be like the depreciation coming out of my CAPEX? Where is the difference between CAPEX and OPEX? So what do I have actually on my balance sheet? Automate your workflows And in the end of the day, having it every single time, like in every second, you know where you're at, right? You know, you have the overview on your dashboards and your KPIs and where every project stands, right? We have a solution, and that's what Hannah was presenting, right? The CAPEX Management, which is like the entire solution. What I've been focusing on with the team is to make the solution, enhance the solution by certain aspects, right? And that's what we can see on the left-hand side. I don't want to read through all of those, but just to let you know, to highlight things, we have focused on automating the processes to increase the usability and the intuitivity of the system. We have an approval process which tracks basically and audits the entire process from creation to approval, integrate the actuals so that we can do proper forecast, and also interactive calculations to support the process of project creation. All right, let us jump right into the demo. And since we have an audience typically where people are coming from different levels, right? Some of you have seen SAC, some haven't. I just want to give you like a sneak overview where we are and then getting into the particular solution. So this is the entry point, right? This is my personal entry point where I have certain AI capabilities, right? Just ask, and then we've got great content on that on our YouTube channel. We've got a lot of resources. So like if you are new to SAC or if you are like an expert, you can find the right information about the current state, what are the release updates, some help videos, help documentation, interactive tutorials. So like there are a lot of different things which are supporting your journey with an SAC, right? And then I see like my recent files. So what I've been using like personally for myself, right? And here on top, you can basically see like the different slices of data, right? This is like my view. However, Hannah was talking about our different applications, right? And these are stored in the catalog. So that's basically where all the applications we've created are stored on this tenant. And what we're going to talk about today is the capital project planning and reporting workflow. And let's kind of jump into that, right? This is kind of the pop-up which describes where we are, what we want to do there. And I want to just jump right into the story. So a story is basically a page of SAC, which is showing you like certain functions, either charts or tables or KPIs or links as in this case. And I just want to give you like a feeling or an introduction what we're going to talk about today specifically, right? We are clustering our CAPEX solution into 3 clusters. Cluster number 1 is project planning and approvals. This is going to be the absolute focus area of today, which includes the submission of a project, adding details, adding KPIs, adding descriptions. Then we have review and approve and report on the projects. This is going to be like our focus today. However, beyond that, we have further content, which is integrating the CAPEX into the financial planning. So like, how do I classify my investment into an asset class? How do I calculate the depreciation? How do I track the impact on my costs, on my financial planning, right? And the cluster number 3 is basically the project and internal audit forecasting, where you can plan resources like workforce or like other resources and attach it to the project to have a proper, like a better overview on the more detailed. Again, this is going to be like our focus today, and let's start right with the demo. This is the entry point. And I just want to give you like a quick overview. Where are we and what do we see here, right? We are today in October 2025. right? And what we can see on the left-hand side is how we would have done our budget last year for this year, right? So we can see basically some links. We're gonna go through them in a minute. Then we can see like what is my budget actually, right? How much did I approve already? What is the volume of investment which are submitted for review? And how many projects are like in a draft modus? Right, these are like the 3 different status we've identified or we've defined for this demo, right? And if I want to see like what are the projects behind it, I can just click on one, wait a second, and then my table will update and will show me like which projects these are, which are like submitted for review, right? Then kind of like, again, on the left-hand side, we have the budget view, right, on different levels. In the middle, we can basically see different KPIs. We can see like what is actually our budget we already approved against the budget we actually defined top down. So how much space do we still have? How much spent what can we plan in addition to what we've done already, right? So I like different KPIs which we can just integrate in here. If we move on to the right-hand side, that's where the forecast happens. So we're moving in time. We're now in October 2025, right? How does my budget look like? Like, how does my forecast look like? What do I have to expect? How is every individual project going? So which projects are going well, which aren't going well, and so on. And again, different slices we can use in here, right? Either IT, if we want to see just the IT projects with their performance. And we can kind of review our budget, our actual year to date, which is September. In this case, our cutover is October. So the forecast from October onwards, and we can see like the full year, right? From here, let's kind of get into the budgeting process and approval process. We can jump to the instructions by clicking on the instructions, right? We can open and help the user to navigate through the process with screenshots, with descriptions, with process charts, and integrated links, so that it doesn't matter whether the user is doing it like just once a year, or if the user is just completely fresh to your organization, right? We can help the users to navigate through the process. Right. And the process from a budgeting perspective kind of starts with, I want to create a new project, right? And this is kind of one possible screen how to do that, right? The project ID is auto-generated in here. It's just like sequential number, right? We can just add a new project title, project description. We select a company, where it happens, a cost center, say it's manufacturing, new packaging line makes sense, and it's going to be our manufacturing business area. I click on create new project, and then the system basically creates a new project ID, updates with all the relevant information, right? And we can review it here on the right hand side. The project has been created by myself, at what time, what date, and we actually also track the status of the project, right? And from here I can basically create further more projects, just like keep on going. That's like a typical view we see in budgeting processes, where you create like your content and multiple projects, and again then continue and give some more information to the project itself. This information, what we add to the projects here, is basically just the basics, right? So we want to know what's the title, what's the description, where does it happen. to add some more content and also to integrate this process into what did I plan already, right? That's where we have created this view, and I just want to refresh so that we can see the new project we've added. That's where I have my overview, right? I can navigate here and slice the data by the project status, right, or by the business area, and this is also integrating all the security aspects. So depending on what my role is, I'm gonna see different things in here, which is very important from an IT perspective. This is just like one screen, so like there are not like 10 screens depending on the role you have to maintain. It's one screen, and what you see is basically driven by the security settings, right? And if I just scroll down here, right, we can see I've already created this project yesterday for a test. Right, we can see there's like no investment planned or submitted yet or approved. We can see this is a project in a draft status, along with other projects which are either approved or submitted for review or rejected. So like we can basically see in one screen like the same figures we've seen in our dashboard, right? And we know like, oh, we've got like still 5 million of them. We can still plan here. Right. To review the project, I just highlight the project itself and get my project details. It takes a second to open that up, right? Then the data is refreshed, and that's where I can basically start planning out my project, right? By adding my project investment, by adding some other financials like the differentiation between what's actually other costs, so what's OPEX, what's CAPEX out of my investment, to calculate my cash flow, to add some project descriptions. And Hannah was mentioning that this is a modular and extendable solution. So whatever you define as the customer, and we've seen like different versions of that for the relevant information for your decision-making process. On the one hand side, what are the financials, and on the other, what are the text and the qualitative information that's like completely adjustable to your requirements, right? I'm just gonna jump to another project, which I already filled out yesterday. And that's what I can do just by highlighting the other project and seeing and just activating this review selected project, right? The data gets updated. I actually didn't fill it out. I'm just gonna jump to another one. I think it was this one. Oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and just plan it out. Right. And as for planning, right, if we think of a budgeting process, you might not know initially in what period your investment is gonna create spending. So SAC delivers as a built-in functionality a top-down disaggregation, so you can just like plan on 2025 as a year initially, right? And once you've done that, you can just in the forecast specify a little bit more when the spending is going to happen, right? With all the inputs we are doing here, right, this area here updates with all our financial information. So on the one hand side, with our projected investment, and what do we actually expect from this investment? So let's say in 2025, we're gonna invest $15,000 into an automation, and we're expecting like a revenue or like a cost savings of $80,000 in 2026, and want to 50,000 in 2027. Right, and that's like where the interactive part kind of plays a role. That's where I can kind of go back and forth and update my calculations, and to get a better feeling like, is this actually a good project or not. For this to fill out, right, I've got the project financial drivers on the left-hand side, right, with the discount rate, with my IRR target, DXO, KPIs, and then, like in this case, as an example, percentages, right, of what's going to be my percentage of my revenue for the specific project. You can fill it out. You can also say, well, we've got certain standards. I just going to pull in the standards for this project, right, and let the system calculate it for me. And if I disagree with one or the other driver, you can easily just go in and change that. With these percentages and with the XO KPIs, this entire screen is kind of calculated automatically, right? We see still our investment of 15K this year, right? And we see the cost saving of the revenue part for 26 and 27. We can oversee like this is like a pretty good return on investment. So there's like a no-brainer. Our net present value, which is like discounting with our discount rate of 9.2%, is basically showing us it's basically showing us like what's going to be our return, including like a risk rate and a discount rate, right? So and then you can basically kind of go in and then change the figures, right, and adjust it to the way how you think it's appropriate. And this project is going to go through the entire process with all this information provided to everyone who has to make a decision on that. Last but not least, like in the project creation process, right, I can add some comments to it, right? So just like put in some random comments in here, right? The comments are tracked, so basically if I've done one comment, I can still add another one, and this is like traced, so that you can see like what has been the development, if it is relevant for your decision. Once I've done all that, right, I can submit this project for an approval just by clicking this button. As I see, kind of uses the standard functionality, moves the project into submitted, locks the project for any changes. And what we have created in here is basically an email which is automatically generated, right, with a link, right, and with all the information which is like relevant in this case to know what we're talking about. This is a really simplified way how to do that, and I've chosen that on purpose because I like the idea that you can still like add some other people if required, so that they are aware of this initiative, that you can add some more content, although like I think all the content which is relevant for decisions maybe should be in the project form itself, right? So just gonna close this off, right? We can see on top that this project 58, right, has been moved to submitted for review. So this is updated. I can see basically it's submitted by myself at what time, what date and what time. And from here I can just approve the project. And the approval means, and again, kind of to remind ourselves, we are now, like for this particular case, we're in 2024, we are planning 2025, so we are updating also our 2025 budget automatically with this initiative. All right. And now the project is approved, right? It's added to our investment approved budget, and we still know we've got about 5 million to go, and to create further projects. All right, let's go back to the overview, right? So we've covered the left-hand side. It's how we plan, how we fill out, how we add all the financial information to our projects. Now we move on to the forecast, right? Now we are in October 2025, right? We've got the overview of all projects, and the same principle in here. We've got instructions to help the users to navigate through the project, to the process, and we've got the forecast project screen. Let me jump to that quick. And this is basically showing you like all your approved projects coming from either budget, or if you decide during your forecast project that you want to start something which is not budgeted, that's something you can do from here out using the same principle as I've shown to you in the budget. Right. In here we can see like our actuals, so that's where the actuals are coming in. We can see like all our projects. We can see the approved date, so when the project has been approved, and then the actual to go, which is basically what has been budgeted minus what we already have spent. Like there are different definitions or different words for that, but we just call it like actual to go or budget to go. Right, that's where we can do our forecast or our year total. So like depending what you want to achieve, for instance, in here, oh, I know it's going to be like a little bit lower than that. So let's say it's minus 5% overall. So the system kind of recalculates our forecast. Obviously, it doesn't change the budget. Right, so you can do it right from here. And this is a quick way to do it. So like you basically just log on and do it like from a high level perspective, right? However, if you want to review like one project specifically, right, you can just jump into the project itself and review it in the same manner as we've done it for our approval. Right, everything with what we initially input is also pictured here. We've got a slightly different approach, like how we present data, because now we are in a scenario for forecasting where the months actually count or matters a little bit more than what we're used to for budgeting, and then you can basically review different different views of the project, which means we can see like when it was created, when it was submitted, when it was approved, what's like the spend over the year. This is including the actuals, right? In this case, we've spent a little bit less at the beginning, so we basically shifted some of the investments and process for the project towards the end of the year. That's where you can update then your forecast for the different KPIs we've defined. You can again review your financials with your net present value over the years, change your commentary, and also review like some different chart views. Right. Let's go back to our presentation, and I started the presentation with a quote from Warren Buffett, and I would like to close it also off with his quote. But I would like to have a transformation a little bit of that, because what Warren Buffett said is like still valid, and I think many of the things he said will be valid in future. But his view is like pretty much from an investor's lens, and so today's business environment right? It's getting more complex, more data intensive. I mean, we've heard like AI, we've heard like big data in the past. So like the data intensity, connecting, and system-driven principles have to be followed. So modern management can no longer just rely solely on intuition and experience. It has to add the fundamental thing for your decision-making process, and that's data, that's process, and that's strategy. And that's why we are saying today's capital investments must be guided by data, governed by process, and driven by strategy. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Johannes, for a great presentation of the upcoming additional capabilities of our capital expenditure planning module. There were no questions in the Q&A section. If you should have any questions, please reach out to either Johannes or myself. You see the email addresses in there. Please also do follow us on LinkedIn. You will get invitations to these types of webinars and all other activities directly into your LinkedIn inbox. And make sure you also bookmark our events website or events portion of our website as well. You can scan the QR code that Johannes is sharing here and you'll land on our website. Yeah, here are additional channels to go with us and join us in your future. The YouTube channel is very, very well visited. We have tons of videos up there, enablement, educational videos, and some fun stuff as well. So please also scan that QR code and subscribe to our YouTube video channel. This concludes our today's webinar around CAPEX management and planning. Reach out if you have any need, if you need guidance and advice from our experts. If not, we're hoping that we can welcome you to one of our future webinars. Thank you so much and have a fantastic day.